What would it be like to be a realtor? You know, somebody who helps others with the buying and selling of residential homes and properties. Well, I do have this great guest lined up for you. His name is Brent Jones, and he breaks it all down for us. I mean, we cover a lot of ground here. We look at the profession from the inside out, as far as some of the hidden rewards, some of the challenges, a day in the life. We also even get into what really differentiates this profession as far as a sales standpoint. You know, what makes it different selling a home versus selling any other type of product. We also look at tech trends, and there's even this really moving story about, again, some of the challenges that do kind of come with the profession. Again, we cover a lot here, and I'm really excited to share it with you. But I do want to remind you, there's only so much I can cover within these YouTube videos, so I do encourage you to check out the full-length audio version. You can do so wherever you access your podcast. Just do that search for Life as a ... All right, well, why don't we get into this? All right, well, I thought it would be worthwhile to start out by addressing the perceptions of what this profession is all about. So here's a clip of Brent breaking that down for us.
Sometimes the perception is you think about what a real estate agent does, you go, that person is probably showing houses all day. It's like they're just, opening front doors, they're giving people tours of mansions. And, and shows like Selling Sunset and some of the rest of this that's on, I think it's on Netflix, right? Some of that I think is maybe perpetuating that problem. But the real truth of it is that unless you have a plan in place to actually make the phone calls, knock on doors, get into the, sort of the community networks and networking events. I often think of real estate as sales, like other professions, as a contact sport. So the more contacts you make, probably the more success that you're going to end up having.
All right, well, to follow on with that point, here's Brent breaking down a day in the life of what he's involved in, what the job is truly about.
If we're looking at sort of my typical day, it would start with kind of responses and follow-ups, going through emails, calls, texts, responding to those, moving into prospecting time, that type of thing. And then all the appointment-based stuff comes later. So meeting with a homeowner to review their home, give them an opinion of value, doing those showings, presenting offers, that tends to happen a little later. And then of course, some of the follow-up has to happen again later in the day with returning calls, returning emails, that type of thing. So, but that being said, it's like every day is a little bit different. It's one of those careers where you can go into a day thinking you know exactly how it's going to unfold, and you don't have any idea until you actually get into your day.
Okay, well, I want to shift over to another inside look at the work itself. And this is one that I found really interesting during the discussion, and it's about, the differentiation between selling a home, for example, versus any other product, and what that really truly entails, what it means. So here's another clip of Brent breaking that down for us.
I've never been involved in a transaction, I don't think, where there wasn't some type of emotional connection involved. And the same cannot be said for selling a cell phone case at the mall kiosk, right? It's just not the same type of transaction. So a lot of realtors joke, I don't know if it's a joke, but just most realtors understand that we are real estate professionals. We understand sort of the legal ins and outs of the process, but in part, we're also therapists too. And we understand we're going to spend a large portion of our time working with our clients, handling their fears, their concerns, their anxieties, and working with them. And that's the thing. If you're not prepared to go that distance, it makes it very tough to connect with people, to build a long-term career. When you have people going, man, that guy or that person, that they made me feel uncomfortable. I felt like they didn't understand me. Even if you did all the things right to represent that client, people will remember. What's the saying? It's like people will not always remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel, type of thing. And you're very cognizant in that of that in this profession.
Now, this next clip represents a really compelling point within the discussion, and it's basically keyed in on this notion that a lot of realtors, traditionally speaking, they generate leads by putting their face out there, whether it's on a billboard, whether it's in a newspaper. That's one way of doing it, but one that costs a lot of money, and especially when you're starting out, not the easiest approach. So there's this other way of doing things, and it's kind of an emerging one, a community engagement strategy. And here's a clip of Brent breaking that down for us. And listen in carefully because I think there's a lot of goodness packed into this clip. So check it out.
So I did mention earlier advertising things like newspapers, billboards. You can do that kind of stuff, but it's not overly effective in a small town where everybody knows everybody. That's my hill that I'm willing to die on. I don't think it's a great use of money. I don't think it builds trust with people. I think getting out and actually talking and meeting with people, or finding some other way to more organically connect with people and have them know your name is a far, far greater path, especially for somebody just starting out who maybe doesn't have a ton of money to do a region-wide billboard strategy this year. They're going, I got to bootstrap it for a little bit. So just putting it in a basket, being a community-focused realtor was always the objective for me. I said, okay, I don't have the warm market of tons and tons of contacts in this area, but what I do have is a little bit of social media savvy. I do have things in the community that I enjoy that I'd like to share with other people. So some of the things that I've done since I've started is organizing community events where, for instance, like a fundraiser type barbecue for the SPCA, for the pet shelter, doing things like a car wash for Big Brothers, doing a food drive for our local food bank, doing I'm trying to think of some other examples, a bottle drive that raised money for our hospital, these types of things. This was a great way to help. And I've always said that, and I think you're going to come to this point later, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but a good realtor should be a good community ambassador. Take care of the people in your community. If this is where you're going to trade in real estate, and again, I have, in that sense, I'm working in a small town, a relatively small town, but even for a realtor working in a big city, if they're in Toronto, you may have your one neighborhood or your one of sort of farm area where you want to concentrate on trying to help and improve the lives of people there. So events are a big thing. Gift card giveaways. I love supporting local businesses. One of the things I set out to do was to try every month to purchase a gift card to a local business that I liked, whether I knew the business owner or not, it's irrelevant. And yes, buy it with my own money, advertise on Facebook that I'm giving it away. This is not something that's unique to me. Other realtors do this too. The only difference is I usually see people saying like, well, follow us and like it and leave a comment. Mine's different. It's a funnel right into my email marketing list. So it's, hey, if you want to enter this giveaway, pop in your name and email. I have almost 1,500 email marketing, like email contacts just here in the town of Fort Erie.
Wow.
And that's just, it's a very simple thing. So the business loves it because I've been promoting their business all month online. People like it because they get a chance to win something. And I have an audience of people now that I can talk to that I didn't have, a couple of months ago. The podcast you mentioned, the Fort Erie Podcast. I mean, I don't have paid sponsors for that. I'm not selling ad spots. It is a podcast that, and you know from having listened to it, that is a community focus. Some of it is me editorializing things and just telling jokes and just kind of having a good time with it. But I do it for my own amusement. But I also do it because I thought when I first moved to town here and I was not a realtor, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was something like that in our town where there was sort of this more fun, a topical, almost weekly piece, that highlighted what's great in our community.
Next up, I want to share this clip of Brent explaining some of the real challenges associated with this work. And of course, there's going to be some ups and downs within any line of work, but it's good to know. Of course, it's good to be aware of what some of those challenges could be.
I think one of the challenges people can find if they're not careful is inconsistency in income. I mean, and sometimes this happens with agents, new and old alike. People have been doing it a long time, and it's like you can have a lull. There's even times of the year where that the market is not as active, like late summer. You get that July and August dog days of summer. You don't get as much real estate activity as you see during the spring market, for example. So there can be periods of inconsistency, and that can certainly scare some people off. I mean, I think one of the challenges that I've personally worked through is keeping up with a market that is changing so quickly.
All right, well, here's one more clip of Brent breaking down a very real challenge that a lot of realtors faced not that long ago, of course, coming out of the pandemic and, some of the after effects of what that caused. But what I really like about this clip is Brent breaks down a couple of tried, tested, and true strategies of working with clients and keeping relationships strong, and what he has done to do all of those things. And I think this advice is really, really helpful to anyone who's looking for that perspective, that inside look at the profession. So check this one out too.
prices came down from the pandemic high, approximately 26-27%. Okay, the median household price. So now you go to a seller that you met with in February and told them, hey, I could get you $900,000 for your house. You meet with them again in December, and I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's like, yeah, your place is now worth 650, and that's a tough pill to swallow if they built plans around like selling and then buying again. So these are some of the challenges, and the best way to get around that, you can't stop these things from happening. But what you can do is two things, I think. One is to be very, very aware of what's happening in your local market. Stop trying to be the agent who's like, I serve Niagara, Hamilton, Halton, Haldimand, Peel, York, Toronto. You see some of these people where it's like, I cover the entire GTA. It's like 10 million people. And you're like, well, you can't do any of those well. You have to know something about your local area and be an expert somewhere. So one is being a numbers nerd, as I like to call myself. Whatever you're doing, keep up on what's being listed, what's being sold, what's selling for what are the market trends, what are the challenges people in your community are having with housing. Understand that first and foremost. So be very, very conscious of things as they're happening. Don't be the reactionary agent who finds out later, prices are trending downward and oops, I didn't notice for the past 3 months, all my listings are overpriced right now. The other piece to that is not only be conscious of the math, but be very good at communicating that to your clients. This is the other piece that's missing sometimes is I know what I know, but I don't know if you know what I know. And so part of the job is also making sure that your clients know exactly what's happening. I like to do regular video updates for my clients, whether they're buyers or sellers. So I'll do a screen share. My little webcam is in the bottom, and I'll show them the trends as I'm seeing them. I'll show them the comps that are on the market. I'll let them see the data. That way I don't have to schedule a meeting necessarily or say, hey, I need you to call me on your lunch break today while you're at work, but let me keep you in the know about what's happening, as it pertains to your situation.
Yeah, I really like that last clip there for what it represented as far as, the sales approach and really taking care of one's clients and customers. Of course, that was imbued within what Brent was sharing, but also too is the leveraging of technology, personalizing things for people, making it convenient to get that type of information. Anyway, though, I'm sure you did pick up on the fact that Brent is this passionate guy. He's an individual who's loving the work that he's doing. And I think it shows and probably feeds into a lot of the success he has. And in the main conversation, we get into some of those rewards of his work, what he really does enjoy about all of it. We also get into a bunch of other things, tech trends. We get into this really great story that he shares of part of the experience of being a realtor and so much more. But again, there's only so much I can jam into these YouTube talks, so I do encourage you to check out the full-length audio version. You can do so wherever you access your podcast. Just do that search for Life as a ... Now, while I do have your attention here, kind of the awkward moment in this conversation, but I would encourage that like or subscribe. It's the best way of letting this YouTube algorithm know that this content matters. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, please be sure to tune into the next episode. It'll be coming out right next week, so make sure not to miss it. All right, we'll see you then.